monthly meeting for February 7th. That we all please rise. Mr. Pileski will lead us in the pledge to the flag. Mrs. Danino and Mrs. Marcus are not in attendance this evening. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of the January 10th regular meeting? Mrs. Aragona, second. Mr. Murray, all in favor? May I have a motion to accept the minutes of the January 24th work session? Mr. Pileski, second. Mr. Luna, all in favor? Mr. Kunz, Art Gallery.
The Byrne-Seiderman Gallery is proud to present the February 2024 show featuring the work from this year's National Art Honor Society induction show entitled Piece of Me. On January 30th, the Lynbrook High School National Art Honor Society nominated 37 members into the NAHS Chapter 2686. The National Art Honor Society is designed to aid members in attaining the highest standards in art scholarship, character, service, and bring art education to the attention of the school and community. Students are accepted based upon their academic grades, art grades, and teacher recommendations. Each year, to accompany the NAHS induction ceremony, the students come together to create a group art exhibit. This year's exhibit, Piece of Me, was chosen by the National Art Honor Society officers and provides the members with a theme to interpret and portray in their artwork. Each student learned about this year's theme at our holiday party and was asked to create an original piece of art to demonstrate their interpretation of the theme. Piece of Me was just one of the many ideas discussed by the NAHS officers. The theme presented many challenges to the members. In addition to determining a composition on an irregular-shaped puzzle piece, the members had to determine what they wanted to tell about themselves on the piece. Each member approached this challenge in their own unique way. The results are some magnificently crafted and personal works of art. Please take a moment to enjoy this month's show, Piece of Me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gunn. Moving on to presentations, Dr. Lynch.
The district is very proud to announce that we have a National Merit semi-finalist this year. So Nora Kane is a prestigious member of our senior class. Yeah, you can clap. Thank you. That was the right thing to do. So just to let everyone know what that means. So 16,000 semifinalists were chosen from more than 1 million entrants. Yes, that was 1 million entrants. So Nora will advance in the competition to the Merit Scholarship Awards. And in addition to the other academic requirements, such as maintaining a high grade level, she will have to author a essay for the competition. So we wish her luck, but we really congratulate. This is incredibly prestigious. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here tonight, but we certainly have a T-shirt for her. Now, Mr. Garcia. So as you know, we've been working on a couple of board goals this year, so I'm going to go out of order. I'm going to be doing a really important presentation tonight. So our 3 board goals, one of them was about addressing the mental health needs of our students, especially in a post-pandemic world. And for those of you who were here back in the summer, you know that we had a presentation from the Ryan Patrick O'Shea Foundation. And I know our girls and boys soccer teams did a significant donation to them. And what they were able to do was fund a training for a program called Sources of Strength. So Sources of Strength is a kid-to-kid program for advocates for kids' mental health, because maybe kids won't talk to an adult. It's keeping eyes out for each other. And I think the best way that we could possibly present this program tonight is to not hear from me, but to hear from the Sources of Strength team.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before I kick it over to the kids, I just want to give a shout out to my adult supervisors, Ms. Julie Chafee, Ms. Nikki DiBenedetto, Mr. Brian Donaldson, and Dr. Ben Tinneber, because I want to take a moment to give them a thanks for their support as well as sacrificing their free periods so we could meet to discuss matters related to Sources of Strength in order to keep the machine rolling along. Your efforts are greatly appreciated, and I thank you for that. I also want to take a moment to thank our student advisors who showed up. Could you guys stand up for us so you can be recognized, please? For their dedication and I want to thank them for their dedication and commitment to being positive role models for their peers. Each one of them has stepped up to be a part of something larger than any individual with the intent to better ensure the physical and emotional well-being of our students, their peers, which is the #1 priority in our community. I also want to give a shout out to our peer advisors for stepping up to create an impactful PowerPoint presentation designed to bring awareness to who we are with our initial Sources of Strength campaign. They took time out of their days to present to our health classes. So to that, I also want to thank Ms. Kramer for allowing us to use her classroom. Please be sure to take a look at our bulletin board in the display case along the hall going to the library on your way out so you can see some of the work that they've done. And last but not least, I want to thank you to the Ryan Patrick O'Shea Foundation for making Sources of Strength possible here at Lynbrook High School. And as I have our student speakers come up, if you could just take a look at the board on the side there for a PowerPoint. These are some of the displays that they made that are in the case out back. Thank you very much. First speaker up, Aiden Pearsall.
Good evening, everyone. For those who may not know me, my name is Aiden Pearsall. I am currently a sophomore here at LHS and part of Sources of Strength. This evening, some students, including myself, will be briefly speaking about an organization that Lynbrook Senior High School has partnered with called Sources of Strength. This organization, in partner with Lynbrook, has trained 40 high schoolers across all grades on what it means to be a peer leader. Now, since completing the training course, we as peer leaders have been better prepared to look for signs and how to react to said signs when coming to all types of situations. Whether that be a person in needing a friend and us being that friend, all the way to a person in need of serious support in their life and us helping them get the help they need. As peer leaders, we are another set of eyes and ears at LHS, ensuring the safety of all students in the building. Now Liz Ortiz will speak more on social media.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Ortiz, and I'm a senior here at LHS and a member of Sources of Strength. From the very first meeting of Sources of Strength, it was clear that we had the potential to be catalysts for change. In the past 2 months, we have focused on different parts of the Sources of Strength wheel, specifically positive friends and mentors. We took advantage of this and asked members to share their personal stories regarding both positive friends and mentors. We have posted these stories on the TVs all around the building and in the display case along the main hallway dedicated to Sources of Strength. Recently, we filled the display case with hearts for Valentine's Day and personal statements from the students in the health classes on which part of the wheel plays a great role in their lives. We as an organization plan to continue focusing on different parts of the Sources of Strength wheel, hearing personal stories from members and students, and spreading our message through social media. I have no doubt that through outreach and our passion for this cause, we will help create a difference in our community and make LHS a safer, happier place. Now, Cooper Shore will be speaking.
Hi, my name is Cooper Shore, and I'm a junior in the Sources of Strength program. While being in this program, I've learned the importance of when you see something, you should always say something. Also, that is our job as part of this program to make every student feel like they are accepted and included in our school. Lately, LHS junior Justin Williams and I walked around the building and we interviewed many different teachers and fellow students, and we asked them one very simple question. We asked them what makes them feel like they belong at LHS. All the answers that we received showed how special our district is as a community and, most importantly, a family. We would like to show you some of the videos that we have taken last week. The first video has some bad audio, but it's fun. Hi, who am I here with?
Dave Rabinowitz. I teach social studies at Lynbrook High School.
Hi, so what makes you feel like you belong at LHS?
It's the people, it's the culture, it's the warmth of the people and the culture, and it's the positive attitude, the acceptance and the diversity of the entire district.
That's amazing. Thank you, Mr. Rabinowitz.
Thanks.
Hi, who am I here with?
Sean Strohhofer, 11th grade.
Hi, and Sean, what makes you feel like you belong at LHS?
The people that go here, really. I have a lot of people that I know or that I'll see throughout the day that always say hi to me. I'll say hi back. And it's fun to know that people aren't like mean or anything here and that everyone's just really welcoming of each other.
So you think the students here are a big part in why you love it here so much?
Yeah, totally.
That's perfect. Great answer. All right, so who am I here with right now?
JP.
And what grade are you in, JP?
I'm a junior.
All right, so I have a quick question. So what makes you feel like you belong at LHS?
I mean, no matter where you come from at LHS, everyone's just so accepting. Like, I have friends, like, of all different races, you know, genders, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks, JP.
Okay, so who am I here with?
You're here with Zoe.
What grade are you in, Zoe?
I am a junior in high school.
So, what makes you feel like you belong at LHS?
I guess being able to connect with people of a different demographic, being able to have education, and just living in a safe, comfortable environment.
That's a great answer. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, who am I here with?
Adria,
What grade are you in, AJ?
I'm 11.
So, one question for you. What makes you feel like you belong at LHS?
Oh, it's just the familyhood we got here. I mean, everyone, you walk around the hallways, you know everyone. And that's how I feel about Lynbrook. It's a great town, great people, great friends.
So you think the close-knit bond you have with the people in the school and in this town make you feel like you belong?
Oh, most definitely.
Thank you very much. Who am I here with?
Jillian Weston,
What grade are you in, Jillian?
11.
So, one question for you today. What makes you feel like you belong here at LHS?
My teachers, they're very supporting of me in the classroom, and I appreciate them a lot.
Does it support you in ways outside of, like, the books, you know, like other than grades and stuff?
Yes, I feel like I'm supported in like my personal life.
That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for your time, everyone, and thank you for showing up to support everyone. I appreciate you. I really do.
That's better than the 2 hours of TikTok I do watching street interviews every night. So, I mean, that type of program is very important to us because it really shows why we have the type of relationships we have, why we have the type of community we have. We always talk about that, especially as adults, but to have you as students to take part in that, to take the leadership role in that, it's an excellent job. We appreciate it. I think the community will appreciate it. An excellent job by you three doing the public speaking. I'm sure you didn't think there'd be 200 people in the room when you did it today, but excellent job.
I wanted to thank you as well. I've worked in 2 other schools that use sources of strength, and I love the idea of what makes you belong, makes you feel like you belong as the first campaign. I think it's awesome. I can't wait to hear what your other campaigns are going to be. And what I'm really excited about is I had done Challenge Day a year or 2 ago, and it was a very emotional experience, but in speaking to the adults who ran it, they said the problem they had was they couldn't get sustainability out of it. It was a great day, but it didn't change the culture beyond the day. And what's great about Sources of Strength is it's self-perpetuating. So you guys are the first leaders, but you're going to be training the next kids and the next kids, and I'm very excited for you to have stepped up and done this. I'm grateful for you, and keep up the good work.
The next segment this evening, which explains our large turnout, bittersweet, we have numerous. We have 5 retirements this evening. Ms. Aragon, you can start.
The first retirement tonight is Lisa Southout.
If you could stand up, please.
Whereas Mrs. Lisa Southout, elementary teacher in the Lynbrook Union Free School District, has announced her intention to retire, effective June 30th, 2024, after 34 years of service to the principals, staff, students, and parents of West End Elementary School. And whereas Mrs. Lisa Southout has been fortunate to have spent her entire teaching career in the Lynbrook schools working under 6 superintendents and 4 principals throughout her professional span. Her teaching career commenced at West End, where she began as a teaching assistant and later taught 4th and 2nd grade. While primarily teaching 4th grade, Mrs. Southout has nurtured and cultivated many young minds. Mrs. Southout's impact has been profound, leaving an indelible mark on her hearts and minds of the West End champion learners and equipping them for success in their educational endeavors. She has formed lasting bonds with families, keeping in touch with them years after her students become adults with their own families. Mrs. Southout has even been seen walking the dog of a former West End family while they were away, despite the disapproval of her 3 cats, Smudge, Frodo, and Tuna. And whereas Mrs. Southout possesses a remarkable ability to connect with her students, fostering trust, displaying compassion, and standing as a reliable and trusted adult figure to our students. Her serene and calm demeanor adds a beautiful tranquility to her classroom, creating an optimal environment for learning. And whereas it should be noted that Mrs. Southout may surprise you with her cartwheeling abilities, showcasing her vibrant and spirited approach to teaching. Mrs. Southout consistently encourages her students to maintain a positive attitude, set ambitious goals, and diligently work towards becoming the best version of themselves. And whereas Mrs. Southout is beloved by all her colleagues, they will miss her unwavering support, friendship, wisdom, and graciousness as a listener and commitment to being a true team player. And whereas, while Mrs. Southout will truly miss her West End family, she looks forward to spending more times with her family. Thankfully, her husband, Michael, will still hold the helm of the kitchen. She will fill her time with the newest addition to her family, her granddaughter, Amelia. She is sure to lend a helping hand to daughter Gabrielle and son-in-law Andrew, as well as spend time with her other children, Alyssa and Matthew, and devote care to her parents, Julie and George. Finally, she will continue her active lifestyle of daily workouts, running, and tennis. No longer will she be limited to the Summer Run Series, in which she either wins or places in the top 3 runners for her age category, or needs to rise at 4:30 a.m. to get in her training runs, or even earlier when training for half marathons, before starting her teaching day. May this well-deserved time be enriched with love, relaxation, and the fulfillment of cherished moments with family, as well as continued pursuits of running, biking, reading, serene moments on the beach, and even gymnastics, because she's still got it. And whereas the Board of Education wholeheartedly acknowledges this testament to Mrs. Lisa Southout's unwavering dedication, exceptional teaching skills, and the profound impact she has had on the Lynbrook schools and its students, we express our deepest gratitude for her invaluable contributions to the education and development of the West End community. As Mrs. Lisa Southout embarks on a new chapter in life, we extend our warmest wishes for a happy and healthy retirement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the resignation of Lisa Southout for purposes of retirement effective June 30th, 2024.
You know that a kindergarten center teacher is retiring when it's standing room only here in the cafeteria. So for Mrs. Boylan, whereas
Please stand up.
Whereas Mrs. Nanette Boylan, teacher in the Lynbrook Union Free School District, has announced her intention to retire after 19 years, effective June 30th, 2024, after dutifully serving as a dedicated first grade teacher at Marion Street School and teacher at the Kindergarten Center. And whereas Mrs. Boylan has consistently demonstrated unwavering commitment, enthusiasm, and passion for the education and well-being of all her students, sharing a wealth of knowledge and expertise in teaching. And whereas Mrs. Boylan has exemplified professionalism, creativity, and excellence in teaching, leaving an indelible mark on the lives of countless students, parents, and colleagues. She has been a source of inspiration, guidance, and mentorship to both fellow educators and young minds alike, fostering a nurturing and stimulating learning environment. And whereas Mrs. Boylan's contributions, dedication, and tireless efforts have significantly enriched the educational experience and strengthened the foundation of our school community by being a mentor and Girl Scout leader, and whereas Mrs. Nanette Boylan plans to travel extensively with her husband Kevin to Italy, visit her 5 siblings who reside up and down the East Coast. When Mrs. Nanette Boylan is not traveling, she will spend time with her children Liz, Tom, and Kevin Jr., who all live in New York. She will indulge her love for cooking and swimming all year round. And whereas Lynbrook Public Schools is losing a dedicated educator who will be missed by her colleagues, parents, and students, we wish Mrs. Boylan a joyful, fulfilling, and well-deserved retirement filled with relaxation, adventure, and cherished moments with family and loved ones. And whereas the Board of Education thanks Mrs. Nanette Boylan for her commitment to Lynbrook Public Schools and wishes her a happy and healthy retirement, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the resignation of Mrs. Nanette Boylan for the purposes of retirement effective June 30th, 2024.
Molly Traversa, please stand up.
Whereas Mrs. Molly Traversa in the Lynbrook Union Free School District has announced her intention to retire effective June 30th, 2024, after 30 years of service to the principals, staff, students, and parents of Marion Street Elementary School. And whereas Mrs. Traversa began her career in Lynbrook as a resource room teacher for a year before securing a classroom position in grade 4 at Marion Street Elementary School. She devoted most of her tenure in lighting our 3rd grade students. Mrs. Traversa's special education training served her well through the years, as she was often the co-teacher in ICT classes, always seeking ways to support all students. And whereas Mrs. Traversa's pupils hold a special place in her heart, and she ensured that each of them felt like a valuable member of her class community. Early on, she initiated lunch buddies and friendship bracelet activities to encourage socialization and positive peer relationships, and provided students with someone to play with during lunch. Mrs. Traversa also encouraged friendships by engaging her students in pen pal riding with Waverly Park students. And whereas Mrs. Traversa's enthusiasm for technology has been evident throughout her teaching career, she has undertaken numerous training sessions to discover innovative approaches to incorporate technology into students' everyday learning and fun projects to bolster their comprehension of the curriculum. Mrs. Traversa was also a member of the Technology Committee, which prompted her to install AV equipment in her classroom to provide lessons for a pupil who was home ill. She worked extensively with the pupil's family tutor and the district's technology department to ensure the child felt connected to the classroom. 20 years later, Ms. Traversa opted to teach remotely from her home for an entire year during the COVID pandemic. Despite the physical distance between Ms. Traversa and her students, she always looked for ways to transform her remote class into a family. And whereas Ms. Traversa's school spirit is unparalleled, she relished every Spirit Week and Marion Street Spirit Friday. Once a year, she has been seen walking around the school donning a pink tutu, wig, Mardi Gras beads, and the biggest pair of pink sunglasses one could ever see. In collaboration with her colleague, she organized the Go Pink Day, raising awareness and donations for making strides against breast cancer. And whereas Ms. Traversa's commitment to education, to the education field, is reflected in the numerous activities she is involved in, both inside and outside the school building. Over the years, she has been involved in several drama productions with our students, including a civil rights presentation to Joseph McNeil, the fourth grade play, as well as the co-director of the grade 5 drama production. Mrs. Traversa has also been a member of the Marion Street Compact Committee, LTA building rep, and faculty advisor for the Marion Street newspaper, the Chatterbox. She also managed to serve on the Lynbrook Teachers Center Policy Board and District Report Card committees. Ms. Traversa has been a mentor to many, a master teacher, and has genuinely been the pride of Marion Street. Whereas Ms. Traversa will be sure to enjoy her retirement years spending her time with her family and her dog, Dino, cheering on her dad's beloved New York Mets, traveling with friends, and seeking the perfect magnet to proudly display all the places she's been. And whereas the Lynbrook Board of Education sincerely thanks Ms. Traversa for her years of service, for always displaying professionalism, spreading good humor, and for holding students and staff to a higher standard at all times, and wishes her a happy and healthy retirement. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the resignation of Ms. Molly Traversa for purposes of retirement effective June 30th, 2024.
Maureen Montgomery, please stand up.
Whereas Mrs. Maureen Montgomery, elementary and mathematics academic intervention services teacher in the Lynbrook Union Free School District, has announced her intention to retire effective June 30th, 2024, after 33 years of service to the principals, staff, students, and parents of Marion Street Elementary School. And whereas Mrs. Montgomery has left a lasting impact on her students and colleagues throughout her 33-year career as a teacher. She began as a first and second grade classroom teacher at Marion Street, then eventually transitioned to being the elementary math interventionalist. In her new role as an AIS teacher, Mrs. Montgomery valued the opportunity to balance her responsibilities as both a parent and an educator. She was always open to new ideas and sought advice from her colleagues and administrators to better serve her students. Over the years, Mrs. Montgomery has been a dedicated interventionalist, using her creativity to engage her students and make math fun. Mrs. Montgomery is always on stage when teaching her students, and she makes sure that her audience is always involved. And whereas Mrs. Montgomery has been able to capture her students' attention by dressing in any number of costumes, behind her classroom door hangs the white medical coat that transforms Mrs. Montgomery into her brilliant alter ego, Dr. Math. Dressed for the part, Dr. Math visits her students in their classrooms and expertly delivers small group math instruction. The fun does not stop there, as Mrs. Montgomery has also delighted her students dressed as a bunny, a shark, and many other surprise guests who happen to appear. And whereas quiet hallways at Marion Street were brought to life as Mrs. Montgomery and her students hopped through the hallways on the math and movements mats, she engaged their whole bodies while revving up their brains for learning. When in the classroom, Mrs. Montgomery designed original word problems featuring her students and fellow teachers as characters to inspire her students to solve problems with enthusiasm. And whereas Mrs. Montgomery's passion for math extended beyond her small group in the classroom, she was an advisor for the Continental Math League and organized school-wide events. She cheered on students and staff when they participated in activities such as March Math Madness, say that 5 times fast, I Love Math Day, and Fun Math Night. She also encouraged her students to participate in programs such as the St. Jude's Mathathon and the Free Rice Program to raise funds to feed the hungry. And whereas Mrs. Montgomery's contributions to elementary math intervention programs have been significant over the years, her extensive knowledge and expertise in mathematics have allowed her to design effective assessments to measure student progress and create AIS report cards that accurately reflect students' abilities. In addition, her math camp activities have been instrumental in preparing students for New York assessments, while her summer math fun activities have helped to keep students engaged in learning during the summer break. Mrs. Montgomery's students have received contributions that have helped to ensure that all students have access to high-quality math education and have the tools and resources they need to succeed in math and achieve their full potential. And whereas throughout her tenure, Mrs. Montgomery has remained an unwavering advocate for her students' success. Her love of teaching and her students has been evident to all who have known her. As a former first grade student once said, "Nobody smiles like Mrs. Montgomery. She's the best." And whereas the Board of Education expresses their gratitude to Mrs. Montgomery for her commitment to the Lynbrook schools and congratulates her on her retirement. As Mrs. Montgomery begins her well-deserved retirement, we wish her all the happiness and joy that life has to offer. We are thrilled to hear that she will be spending her time enjoying the Florida sunshine with her husband, Jim, and spending quality time with her children, Julia, Margot, Carly, and her son-in-law, Matt. We are certain that Mrs. Montgomery will continue to make cherished memories with her loved ones and add to her frequent flyer miles. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the resignation of Mrs. Maureen Montgomery for purposes of retirement effective June 30th, 2024. Congratulations.
We have one more retirement who is not present, but out of respect, Mrs. Aragona will read the retirement resolution.
Whereas Miss Deborah Story, a third grade teacher at Waverly Park Elementary School, has announced her intention to retire effective June 30th, 2024. Miss Story commenced her illustrious career in the Lynbrook School District in 1992, serving initially as an English as a second language aide, subsequently transitioning into the role of a permanent substitute teacher at West End Elementary School. And whereas Ms. Story's dedication to education led her to teach across various grade levels at West End Elementary, including first, second, third, fifth, and integrated co-teaching, where she spent many enriching years nurturing the minds of her students, culminating in an admirable tenure of 30 years in total. For the last 4 years, Ms. Story has taught third grade at Waverly Park. In each role, Ms. Story brought warmth and creativity and formed relationships with each of her students to ensure their success. Ms. Story often has visits from former students who seek out her guidance or a quick chat to brighten their day. And whereas Ms. Story's passion for fostering mathematical excellence extended beyond the classroom as she served as the person in charge of Olympiads for the Elementary Math Olympiad Club, guiding young mathematicians to reach their full potential. And whereas Ms. Story generously shared her wealth of experience and knowledge as a cooperating teacher to several student teachers, instilling in them the values of dedication, compassion, and effective teaching practices. And whereas Ms. Story's commitment to educational excellence extended to her involvement as a scorer for the New York State English Language Arts and Social Studies test at the BOE Center, contributing to the fair and accurate assessment of student achievement statewide. Ms. Story actively contributed to the enhancement of the educational curriculum by participating in curriculum writing initiatives, ensuring the delivery of high quality and relevant instruction to students across the district. And whereas Ms. Story worked behind the scenes for committees over the years, once again not wanting the spotlight for her amazing contributions, including organizing, creating artwork, and offering up her room as a staging area for the West End plays. Ms. Story's creative talents extended beyond the realm of traditional teaching as she lovingly crafted scenery and sewed costumes for school plays, enriching the theatrical experiences of students and the school community. And whereas Ms. Story's artistic flair and dedication to the school environment were further demonstrated through her voluntary design of captivating school-wide displays, creating vibrant and welcoming spaces that inspired learning and creativity. Ms. Story created countless displays, and she was willing to help anyone with any project or activity, no matter how big or small, but never sought credit for her contributions. And whereas Miss Story created beautiful artwork to use with her lessons that would engage and excite the students, including posters of characters, places, and events from books and stories. She even created stained glass art on the windows of her classrooms. And whereas a former colleague shared, Miss Story is probably more talented than Martha Stewart when it comes to designing, decorating, and creating lovely items and spaces for her home and helping friends with their homes. Holidays and birthdays for family members are a special time in her home. She is known for having beautifully themed decorated Christmas trees in many rooms of her house. Whereas the Lynbrook School District Board of Education extends its deepest gratitude and heartfelt appreciation to Miss Story for her unwavering dedication and exceptional contributions, and wishes her a happy, healthy retirement with time to spend with her husband Brian and her 2 dogs and days at the beach and gardening. She is looking forward to embarking on a memorable cross-country journey with her daughter Abby, who is set to graduate from UCLA this June, a remarkable accomplishment a year ahead of schedule. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the resignation of Deborah Story for purpose of retirement effective June 30th, 2024.
If we could get our 5 retirees just to come up for a group photo on the famous backdrop, please. Before we move on with the meeting, this is the portion of the meeting where I get to demonstrate my skills as a magician and watch how I make half the room disappear. So, all those here to celebrate and all those students that need to get back to their studies, thank you for coming out and enjoy the rest of your evening. If we can all continue to take our partying outside, please. Get him out, Janikoff.
That really did work. That did work.
I was in tune, right? Yeah, those are long ones. One more minute. We're going to have to move on with our meeting. Come on, Mr. Brescia. Control the back, Mr. Brescia. Moving on with our meeting. Going to the Communications Committee. Mr. McDermott will give the board the committee's recommendation for a new communication system to replace ParentLink.
Good evening. I'm glad to present the progress and the findings of Lynbrook's Communication Committee. The committee was charged by Dr. Lynch back last spring, and our mission has been to, was very clear from the onset, to thoroughly evaluate our district's communication practices on all levels, district-wide, building level, classroom, and at the club level, and identify opportunities and enhance our effectiveness in communicating with our community. Since our first meeting in June of 2023, the committee, comprised of district and building level administrators, teachers, secretaries, and parents, has diligently worked to represent diverse perspectives and the needs of our district. Our collective goal was to understand and articulate the evolving communication needs of our district for 2024 and beyond. Our process was comprehensive and collaborative. We began by discussing and establishing the shared communication needs of our community, a step that led to the creation of a evaluation rubric. And that rubric served as a guide for our subsequent next phase, where we invited 4 of the major presentation companies in this field. And they were Aptigee, Final Sight, School Messenger, and Parent Square. Our aim was to scrutinize each platform's capabilities and the unique value they could offer to Lynbrook, ensuring our decision was informed, thoughtful, and aligned with the community expectations. After the evaluation and discussions, the committee reached a consensus on recommending Parent Square as the communication platform that best suited the district's needs. The decision was based on the platform's features, its user-friendliness, and its potential to streamline and enhance communication efforts across every level of our district. Now, in light of this, we propose the district adopt Parent Square this spring. The timing is important as it allows for a strategic implementation, and it includes comprehensive staff training and parent notification. And that will be done well ahead of the end of this school year. Our goal is to ensure a seamless transition to Parent Square, enabling us to hit the ground running in the new academic year with a robust, efficient, and cohesive communication system. In closing, I'd like to thank each member of the committee. Their dedication, insight, and hard work was invaluable. Thank you very much for your attention, your support, and your commitment. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I just want to echo your thanks to the committee. One thing I thought was really important was there were a lot of parents in the room as the prime consumers of the product. And I just think it was a really good gel, and I think you put those companies through a little bit of hell, and that's a good thing. I think it was a great evaluative process. Just a point of technicality here, the board doesn't have to adopt a resolution. It is a functional, we adopt it through BOCES, so I can accept the recommendation. I've kind of already signed the paperwork because so we want to get the product running, but we just want to kind of disclose to the board tonight that that's been successfully completion of that committee. So thank you for your work, Mr. McDermott, and committee members. I see some of you in the back, and I know you've spent many an afternoon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Lynch, do we have a sense of when that new platform is going to be up and operational? Or have we
Mr.
not gotten
McDermott,
that far?
so I know we are literally going to start to sync data almost immediately. So we're kind of hoping if we could even do a soft rollout before the beginning of the year, that might be possible, some test runs, but without a doubt, by the time we launch the 2024-2025 school year, we're up and running.
Moving on to reports from trustees on the policy committee and second readings and adoption of the policies mentioned at our last meeting. Mr. Murray, if you can address the DEI committee report.
Sure. Ms. Marcus wasn't able to be here, so she sent this report. Last week, the DEI Council met to discuss this year's goals and the ongoing activities in each of our schools. Dr. Balekis opened the meeting by sharing disaggregated data collected in each of our schools, DEI's prominent place in New York State's latest literacy briefs, and the work of the Elementary Report Card Committee. Buildings shared information regarding the recent observance of International Holocaust Remembrance Day and upcoming events celebrating Black History Month, Lunar New Year, and P.S. I Love You Day. It was great to hear how the partnerships between the high school and the other schools throughout the district continue to grow. The high school students are really starting to become an integral part of our celebrations of cultural and linguistic diversity throughout the district.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Mrs. Aragona on the as our PTA liaison.
Yep. So SEPTA is participating in PS I Love You Day. PS I Love You 2024 theme is Love is Meant to Be Given. SEPTA is having an event February 13th at 7 p.m. in the high school cafeteria. They're going to have a presentation by wellness expert and certified mindfulness instructor Shanar Kanza on how to model self-love for your children. They'll discuss ways to improve your family's mental health as a whole and how to pass on good mental health to future generations. Wear purple. They'll also raffle off a basket that night worth over $1,000 to Family Chiropractor and Holistic Lifestyle Center, but you must be present to enter and win. So if you're available on the 13th at 7 p.m., please join SEPTA. Also, another reminder, Monday is Founders Day, February 12th, 7 p.m. All are invited and welcome, so if you can, come.
Thank you, Tara. Mr. Lunar, BOCES budget update.
Okay, so as most people know, Lynbrook, like all of the other public districts on Long Island, is a member of the BOCES. BOCES allows the districts to pool and share certain services relating to education of staff, curriculum, special needs services, tech programs, and the like. At this time of year, BOCES goes through what's called their budgeting process, where they roll out a budget for all of their programs and their costs for the upcoming year. It's actually 9 or 10 individual budgets. And while I promise I will not bore anybody with the details of those budgets, the meetings are incredibly dense. It was particularly relevant this year. For anyone who watched last month's board meeting, Mr. Belmont kind of foreshadowed some issues that we may be having with respect to financing, and we're not going to be alone. We and every district on the island is about to experience potentially some drastic cuts in the foundation aid given out by Albany. Governor Hochul's most recent budget proposed drastic cuts to the foundation aid that schools receive. Some districts would be impacted more than others, but every district on the island is going to suffer. And this is not a political statement. This is just a statement of fact. The money will be coming out of Long Island districts' budgets in terms of foundation aid under the most recent proposal. So we're going to be facing some severe funding problems if that budget passes. But what I heard at the budget meeting for BOCES is that we can expect significant increases in costs Now, this is BOCES, this is not Lynbrook, but what they're experiencing, we're going to experience. Certain categories that are going to experience increases in cost are most significantly transportation and security. The increases could be as high as 17% for some of these categories. You know, we saw during COVID and after COVID, we added security. Everybody likes seeing the security guards that walk around our buildings and are outside the buildings. They have a cost. BOCES projects significant increases in that cost. Lynbrook does not have currently busing for all students within the district, but we still have transportation costs because we bus students to certain sporting events, activities, we bus students between schools. That cost is 100% going to go up over the coming year. Materials, keeping the lights on, insurance. These were all areas that BOCES projected are going to be very significant increases, just like the rest of the country's experienced inflation. It's really important that everyone understand that to pay for these things, we need foundation aid from the state. So if everyone's listening, the budget from Albany has not yet been finalized. This is the time that every single person here should be reaching out to their elected representatives in the state government and urging them to put pressure on the governor to revise her budget. The current budget, and again, it's not a Republican-Democrat thing, the current budget as it stands would really make this district have to make, and every other district on the island, make some very tough choices at budget time between tax increases, cuts, and the like. We don't want to have to do that, so there's still time. Everybody out here needs to reach out to their elected representative and urge them to urge the governor to reconsider her current budget. I will tell you that at the BOCES meeting, there's representatives like myself from every school board, and this was the single largest topic of conversation, the cuts to foundation aid, while BOCES is telling us that they're forecasting significant expense increases, is a real concern. So again, everybody, please lobby whoever you need to go to the governor and see what we can do to get this done before that budget's accepted and becomes final. Thank you.
I just want to piggyback on Mr. Luna's points here. So we are in the process of putting together the 24-25 budget. And as you know, I was business official here for the last 10 years. We knew a fiscal cliff was coming. We were warned. We had no idea it was going to be what was just proposed. So to give some sense, the last 2 years in coming out of the COVID era, we were given historic increases. I mean, crazy historic increases of like 20% in foundation aid, which allowed us to do lots of really great things. Bring on a security force, bring on more social workers, bring on more guidance counselors, do the work that needs to be done in a post-pandemic world. What we have seen from the governor's budget, an increase of less than 1% in our foundation aid, is just not a sustainable way to do business. We are working very hard. We are going to budget in a way that we've never budgeted before. So I'm going to come with two ways of looking at this. Thank you, community of Lynbrook, for your support for the last 30 years of fiscal conservatism in this district, allowing us to build up reserves, allowing us to prepare for every major catastrophe that could happen. We budgeted for. We're going to have, and Mr. Press presents in a couple of weeks, a radically different way to talk about our budget. We're hoping for the first year we can sustain it because we've done a lot of things for 30 years. That is not sustainable. We are going to pull down our reserves like we have never pulled down our reserves before. The problem with that is next year we have to keep doing that one-trick pony again and again. Health insurance for our employees is now gone up over 10% for the last 3 years. That is a hurt to the employees because they pay part of it, but on the district side of it, it is amounting to millions of dollars. Pension costs are rising. All the costs that BOCES are having are rising. So this is, we're going to be activating PTA. I see you over there. We've literally been trying to think of how we need to message this because, quite frankly, because we are in the fiscal shape we're in, we'll weather this storm this year. There are some of our surrounding districts, you may have heard of some of our neighbors closing schools. That's their reaction. Pink slips going off, laying off staff. We're going to be able to weather the storm this year with some very careful bookwork, but it is not sustainable. We need to, one thing that I'd like to suggest is that one thing we're looking at, so as we start to advocate for an increase in foundation aid, a district like Lynbrook will see an increase. I do believe the legislature will ultimately do the right thing and will get an increase, but it's not going to be the increases like it was before. So one thing we're going to be advocating for is you are a good community that has allowed us to amass reserves. This is why they exist. Our reserves are pointed. They have to be used for specific reasons. We need the legislature and the controller's office to give us freedom. Mr. Belmont, you always talk about local control, to spend our own money. We need their, get this is Albany thinking. We need their permission to spend your money. You have a reserve that is reserved for a very specific purpose, that if we were allowed to use it to defray health costs, that's a really good idea. You saved this money for the last 30 years. Let's ask the legislature, please let us use our own money. It's up to these people, and it's up to you as the voters. I'm going to get off on my ramp here. It shouldn't be up to them. This is your spending plan. This is what you have done. Last year, you approved a budget at 77% passage rate. That's the confidence you have in this district and in our fiscal responsibility. Now we've done the right thing. Now we have to be able to weather this storm.
I don't feel, so I appreciate Mr. Luna trying to be politically correct. You know, we had our budget hearing last year had one person from the community there. I mean, I'm a broken record. I've been doing this now for, 16 or 17 years. The frustration level with my pleas for local control, even when we wanted to do expansions, we have to send plans. We have our own architects, our own designers. They look at the whole plan, then you send it up to Albany and wait 2 years for them to come back and tell you if it's good or not. So while Mr. Lunar is being politically correct, it's not correct. The money that does not go to us goes to other programs that the governor wants to do. So I got in trouble for calling him King Cuomo. You replaced him with Queen Hako. If you look the way those things are done, it's ridiculous where our money goes. And I'd like to tell you to go call our assemblyman and go complain to him. But we've spoken to him, so much so that he's in the back of the room now listening to our meeting to get a pulse of our community. So I appreciate you coming, Assemblyman Curran, who understands our issues and our concerns and has taken the efforts to do what he can for us up there. So I know it sounds funny and I get irritated every year, but I'm telling you, the only way you can change those things is when you vote. And now we're seeing what happened. We got some good aid for the last few years, and now we have to look at making cuts. When there's other programs we're looking to enhance and change. And that only changes by doing that. So I don't know what else to tell you about it. I've been doing this for a very long time, and it happens all the time. It's your money. It's our community. We should be deciding what happens with it. So our budget hearing will be on March 6th. Hopefully you'll be there, and you'll hear more of what we're going to be talking about. We have no old business. We have no new business. Under the superintendent's report, we have board goals.
So board goal update. So I love a February meeting where you actually see the board goals actually happening. So tonight you saw the Communications Committee complete its work with a recommendation on Parent Square. You saw the kids do the Source of Strength to talk about our mental health platform. And then just another thing, we had some really great conversations. Malloy University was in last Thursday, and they interviewed kids about the profile of the owl. Malloy said to me on the way out of the mouths of babes. We didn't only do high school kids. We had them do 4th and 5th graders. We had them do middle schoolers, and they culled data asking the kids, what does an owl need to be in the future, especially in 2035 when the kindergartners graduate. So it's been a great process. We now move to our final phase, and we're going to talk to some more adults. We're going to get the input of our faculty and staff when we come back from break. And then we're going to be putting out Mr. McDermott will help me with this, a Padlet to get a broad community input. That will then end what's called the qualitative stage of the research, and then there'll be a large survey that goes out to the entire community so that everyone gets some input as to what this should be. So that's just a very exciting thing there. We are about to get ready. Are you ready to plan your vacations next year? We're about to unveil the calendar this year. So the next year's calendar is a really interesting one. It's something I've been here 15 years. We've never been able to do this before. Don't get used to it is all I got to say. Don't get used to it, but I'm happy to say we're going to be able to do the day before Thanksgiving next year. So that's it's just it's a weird thing when you count days. It can happen. It can't happen every year. But we looked at each other. We said it can happen this year. So let's do it. And then the other thing, as long as there's no snow, we'll have a 4-day Memorial Day weekend. So those are kind of the good news that's in the calendar that the board will be adopting tonight.
Well, I just got to let them know we will adopt a resolution for that calendar after we've just dictated which one it's going to be. So we will ask for a motion to adopt that calendar. That will be resolution. Can I put the resolution on the consent agenda? You need it now. So can I ask for a motion to adopt the calendar that Dr. Lynch had just discussed, Resolution 2402G38? Mr. Murray, second. Mr. Lunar, all in favor? Appreciate it. Copies are in the back, and the calendar will be posted on the virtual meeting page tomorrow. Back to Dr. Lynch.
So with the state aid run, we now have some idea of what will be happening with UPK next year. So we were funded approximately, this is all, just like Mr. Luna was saying, this is still an executive proposal. We were funded at the same level as last year. So we're thinking at this point we'll have between 130 and 150 open seats for UPK. That is more than we've had applicants in the last couple of years. So if everything holds true the way it did last year, we probably will be able to seat everyone who applies, as long as but we're still going to have a lottery, because if something weird happens when the state adopts the budget, we may need to say, okay, we can only accept 96, so we can only accept 90. But that's kind of what it looks at right now. You're going to have to watch the web page, because then we're going to have to go into motion. Just like last year, there's going to be a registration process where UPK families are public school families, so they need to register for the district. You need to register for the lottery, and I think we're going to try to work on some electronic stuff this year. So that'll be keep watching our page, and we'll be blasting that out. I know Syntax is here. We'll be putting that out onto Facebook when we actually have the timeline together. Curriculum update, Dr. Balekis.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch. We're excited to announce Lynbrook High School's new partnership with InSpirit AI. AI Scholars is a program developed and taught exclusively by Stanford, MIT, and leading university alumni and graduate students specializing in AI, and it is designed to inspire students of all interests to understand and apply artificial intelligence to improve the world. The hope of the program is to bring the most recent developments in AI from courses and labs in Silicon Valley to empower high school students globally. Classes will be offered throughout the month of July, and registration information can be found at Lynbrook-inspirit-24.paperform.co. The registration link, for those that couldn't catch that, will also be included in this week's high school newsletter and will be found on the board webpage. Thank you.
So Dr. Balekis gets to be correct, and he says nice things. So I'm going to just tell you all, this is a really big deal. Just in case you don't, we need to underline what he's just saying about. So what Mr. Visalico and Dr. Balekis taught me is that a lot of the districts that win the Regeneron awards and some of the North Shore districts have these summer camps for science research that are held on their campuses. We're hosting one of those for AI this year. So that's what that means. And we are proud to really... We built a lab. We built a really beautiful lab. We hired awesome staff to teach science research, and now this is just the next level to push it up. It's just when you see what some of our kids can do, this is really a great opportunity for them. And we're hosting other districts. That's the whole point. This isn't just Lynbrook kids. This will be the kids from around Long Island using us as this AI site. So thank you for putting that together. Thank you, Mr. Visalico, for bringing it to our attention. It's an exciting future. Mr. Press?
So in terms of updates on the capital projects, there's really no updates on the summer projects because they have all been completed. So we're happy to be able to say that. There are the plans for our next phase of work, which we hope to start over the summer, which is the West End and Marion Street door replacement projects, elevator work here, and a restroom at South. Those plans are up at the state, waiting again. As Mr. Belmont said, for approval from the state. We are told by our architects that we're about a month or two away from approval of those plans. And once we get that, we'll bid that out and we'll get the projects moving forward. If I could just sneak in a food update, unless, did you have a question on that? Just in terms of the elementary food
No, but
program.
the only comment I was making, just to be clear, is they're not looking to modify it. Those are doors that went through everything. We're just waiting for them to look at what we sent and say, okay. And that takes months, sometimes years for that to come back. So the things that you went out and approved that cost this much money, that we're ready to go with, and you send to Albany, and then when they say, okay, 18 months later, now we can't do it because the cost went up that much. That's hopefully my last comment on that.
Okay. Just real quick on the elementary food program, we have expanded the offering of hot lunch from 1 day to 2 days a week now. We are moving in the direction of 5 days a week, which I'm really hoping we can do soon. We just had some storage issues, so we needed to buy a new freezer to be able to hold more of the food. The freezer is ordered. It should be in relatively soon. But I'm encouraged because on the days when we offer hot lunch, the numbers just spike. So hopefully when we start getting that 5 days a week, we'll see the numbers overall just get up to the levels that we are really looking for them to be at. So that's my update on the food program.
Thank you. Good.
All right, before we go to public comment, I promise the last thing I'm going to say on this issue. If you want to understand how the money, what it's being used for and what the process is, go look at the housing plan the governor had come up with last year, which he wanted to push, which meant you can just rent out your garage to anybody you want. Anybody who comes in, just go live there, change the zoning. That was a proposal she had that was opposed by all the politicians on Long Island. Didn't matter what party they were, that was opposed. Those are some of the issues that we're dealing with. In the budget session next month, you will hear more. But I have nothing to say until then. So at this time, anybody who wants to make public comment, please come to the microphone, identify yourself as living in or out of the district, and you can address the board.
Kim Cyprian, Lynbrook resident. Just wanted to come up here and thank you guys again for your time and listening to myself and some other parents in regards to transportation. Touching base on the comments that you made in regards to the budget, the information that I did miss last board meeting. Only reason why I missed it is I'm proud to say that I was moving my daughter into Clemson, so she just started there this spring, or I would have been here. It's near and dear. I'm doing my best to stay calm, really. And I'm very grateful for all the information that you guys have listened to us present time and time again. But as Mr. Belmont states, I'm not going to go away. I am going to continuously ask. And I challenge you even more so now to work with these other school districts. Partner with them. You stated, we are not the only district that is going to be affected. Let's go to East Rockaway and say, you have an existing transportation service for your students that do not go to public school. Can we partner with you? Let's bring in a third school district. 3 of us together can save money. I am not going to allow this proposed cut stop us. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep asking. We stated the problem. We provided you guys with options and resolutions. I'll present this to you. I made copies. I meant to present in December when I had to leave abruptly, but I know the budget meeting is coming up and you guys are going to be working, and I want you to have the information that we have presented at your fingertips. Mr. Belmont, you are very frustrated, right, that we have to go to the government and ask them to spend our own money. We, the parents that pay for our children to go to private school, pay taxes here. We are coming to you to ask you if you can let us spend some of our money. We pay taxes too. We know the amount of money that this district receives from each student that chooses to not attend here. We are still part of this community. We still want a fair share. You're going to them, we're coming to you. We're asking you, let us spend some of our money. We're paying it. We deserve it. We're asking for a small amount. I understand maybe we can't have our own private bus service. I said before, another option I mentioned, not individual bus stops. Not asking for that. Give us one late bus that comes back to a central location, back to the high school. We will get our students from here, just like every other parent has to do. I'm challenging you guys. I know you can do it. We're not giving up. I'm volunteering. I will put in the time and effort. Give me a job to do. That is how passionate I am and how much I know these kids need it. My daughter's going to be playing lacrosse in a couple of weeks. I need to get to Uniondale at 5 and 5:30 every single day, leave my job early, sit in traffic to pick her up. She's not the only one. There's students in art, there's students in music, there's students in theater. We've given you guys the numbers. You have about 45 families that go to one school alone. In these information that I printed out for you, you will see all of the numbers. I know you can't do it for all. We're asking you to try. Come up with a plan. Work with us. Work with other districts. They're going to need to save money too. Imagine how great you guys are going to look when you come to them with this plan to say, we want to work with you 2 other school districts. We're going to cut expenses for all 3 of us. We're going to get 1 bus. We're going to have maybe 1 location. Maybe you guys can't even come here to Lynbrook. Maybe our pickup spot is East Rockaway. I guarantee you, if you ask this 119 kids that chose not to go to this school district, they could pick up their kid from East Rockaway. I'm not going away. I'm asking to work with you. I will be here next month. Give me a job. I am grateful for you listening, and I understand your frustration with them. We're just as frustrated. We're paying money, and our kids aren't getting any of it. Any of it. We just need a little bit. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Mr. Belmont, can I get
Seeing no more questions from the community, going to donations, the board gratefully accepts and acknowledges the following donation, 3,000. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, come on. Yep.
I'm sorry, I thought there might have been a call, or I don't want to step out of order. It's my first time here. Thank you. My name is Chris Wagner. I live on Lenox Avenue here in Lynbrook. I thank you for your time and everything that you do for the community. Mr. Belmont, I think you said you've been doing this 16, 17 years. That's quite a run.
Too long.
Well, it's like fine wine, maybe. Thank you. So my wife was here a couple months ago. Actually, my 8th grade daughter was here, and she spoke. Friends with Caitlin Cyprian here. And as a municipal attorney, I have a lot of late nights at various boards, and I keep thinking one night I'm going to come home and the locks are going to be changed to my door at home, but they haven't yet. So, yeah, my sympathies, but that's why I haven't been here. I have 3 children. I have a student in 8th grade, a daughter in 8th grade at Kellenberg Latin School. I have a daughter in 6th grade at Lynbrook South. And then I have a 4-year-old who's yet to start his Lynbrook education career, but he looks forward to doing so. As I mentioned, my daughter Emma spoke a few months ago, and I don't think I could have said it any better in terms of why a late bus is important to her as a student. I think it's important for children as they get older to grow into adults to advocate for themselves. So I was very proud of her that she came up and she spoke here to you all, and I appreciate you listening to her. I hope the message resonated. I know Kim has been here and kind of the face of the campaign this year. I know in the past, Mr. Clancy, Mr. Gallagher have tried to, carry the torch, and I respect Kim's passion and commitment. I've kind of been studying this a little bit and trying to kind of understand why other districts, our neighboring districts, have it and we don't. I'm familiar with, also do some real estate, certain families who are inquiring about this particular district and I can tell you, I know firsthand, that I know of at least 3 families who are contemplating not moving to Lynbrook. One of them was 4 kids who previously lived in the district and is now moving back after a work transfer to the area, and Lynbrook I don't think is where they're going to land, and they're a great family, and these other families that I know are great families. And Lynbrook's not in the cards for them because they want to send some of their kids to Catholic high schools, and they want to have the ability to have a late bus. So they're looking at Rockville Center, they're looking at Malvern. And that's upsetting because I don't, you don't want to see good families, God bless you, leaving or not, recognizing or not factoring Lynbrook because of this particular issue. So, as you mentioned, and about these budget cuts, and as Kim mentioned, I wonder now if there was ever a better time to try to work, not across the aisle in politics, but to work with other districts, to reach out to other districts, to see if that is, if there's an appetite for East Rockaway, if there's an appetite for some other neighboring district to share services. I know, again, as a municipal attorney, all the shared services initiatives that have come down the pike from Albany over the years, and credits given to districts or municipalities that consolidate or share services with other districts. So I wonder if I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I certainly have a lot of questions. And I can tell you, as 2 working parents, my wife and I, a special education teacher, and with 3 children, and trying to get different kids to different places, and wanting our 8th grader to have the ability to really maximize her Kellenberg experience, not having a late bus fails her. And then as parents for her, I feel that we're failing her because there are times and opportunities that she misses out on things because of the lack of a late bus. So I don't know that I could have said it any better than Kim said, and I respect the passion. And we just request, I'll get here as many nights as I can that I don't have night meetings myself. I'll continue to come. And I echoes Kim's sentiment about willingness and being amenable to put us to work if there are things that we can do or things that you want us to look into or study, realizing that the board is the board, but if there are things that you think we can help out with, we're certainly willing to do anything to help our own cause and try and advance the ball on this issue. So thank you for listening, and we'll be back. We'll continue to come back, and I guess we just ask if there's any stones to unturned that you haven't unturned yet. And again, realizing spending cuts. I've read the news and have a lot of friends who are teachers and in various other districts, and the concern about what's going to happen, with Albany sending a lack of aid. So I wonder now if any time there was a more opportune time to try and work with other districts to try and share this service. So thank you for listening. Thank you for looking into this. Thank you for, as an alumni of Kellenberg who grew up in Far Rockaway, Queens, and I had a late bus. Realizing complicated with the city, but nevertheless, I just think if all these other districts can do it, why can't we? And let's not lose good families who, are not considering Lynbrook because of this lack of service. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Seeing that no one else is addressing the board, moving on to donations. The board gratefully accepts and acknowledges the following donation, $3,000 donation from the Community Chest South Shore for the assistance of designated families whose children attend the Lynbrook Public Schools, and superintendent's recommendations. There was a few additions. Resolution 2402G36, appointing the ENL chairperson on a special assignment, and 2402G37, appointing a Service for Students with Disabilities coordinator, have been added to the consent agenda. These resolutions are in the packet in the back and have been updated online. I'd like to ask for consent agenda on resolutions 2402C1 through 2402C8, 2402NC1 through 2402NC11, and 2402G1 through 2402G37. Motion, please. Ms. Aragona, second. Mr. Murray, all in favor? We have a motion to accept the consent agenda. Mr. Plesky, second. Mr. Lunar, all in favor? That concludes me. We'll have our budget work session on March 6th here in the cafeteria, and at 7:30 p.m., and our regular meeting will be on March 13th. Everyone get home safe.